Welcome to the Web Talk Show. Today with Iceland's most successful author. He's bringing his final installment of the Huldar trilogy to Germany. It is out now and I'm happy to talk with him. Welcome, Ragnar Jonasson. How and where are you?
I'm very good. I'm in Iceland, in Reykjavik, and in my home here in the western part of Reykjavik. And getting used to the fact that no one can travel anywhere now, so I'm stuck here for a few months.
A few months more, yeah, and you're well known all over the world, but I guess most people don't know how to spell your name right. So how does it have to sound to be alike in your ears?
So what I would, the way I would pronounce it in Icelandic is Ragnar Jonasson.
And you got a pace, you're fast when you're saying it.
Yeah, Ragnar Jonasson.
When you start writing, and you were very young when you started, have you ever thought about an international career or a new international name just for you, like an artist name?
That's a very good question. Yes and no. I mean, when I started writing, I had no idea these books would be published in Germany or anywhere. It was just a hobby. So of course I just used my own name. But I have a family name in my family, which is Reykdal. So it's a little bit more international, which was my grandmother's name from her family. So I have, once I thought, maybe I should use that, but we didn't do it. It's just been the same good name.
But the time the Dark Islands books went on so successful, no one came to you and said, hey, what about calling you Bill and last name Iceland? Bill Iceland.
Nothing yet, but who knows?
I guess now it's a bit too late because you're successful all over the place. So now we finally got in Germany the third installment of Huldar. The trilogy is done and you are telling it backwards. So tell me, are you happy with the ending? And what was the original idea? Did you always thought about a trilogy told backwards?
So yes, I am happy about the ending. It was always the plan to do this as a backwards trilogy. The idea was sort of created when I just finished my previous series and I wanted to write something totally different. So I went to my Icelandic publisher and told him that I would like to do a series about a policewoman who was 64 years old, and that we would start with her last case and then we would go back in time and we would basically get to know her through a series of books. And so it was always the plan to start with her last case and go back. And she is 64, then she's 50, then she's 40. And basically the reader knows more about Hulda than she does. When he reads the last book in the series, the reader will know what happens to her in the future. And for me, that was an interesting challenge both to write and again, for the reader, I think it, might be an interesting way to read a story, to get to know a character. But the stories were always developed as the story of Hulda in three books. Not only 3 crime stories. I mean, we have 3 different crimes in these stories and 3 different settings. But all throughout, we are telling the whole life story of this woman, and she has had a difficult life, as we will see.
And you didn't write it forward and now just turn it backwards for the story, for the books?
No, absolutely not. It was written this exact way, and I had great fun doing it. And of course, it was important from the start that before I wrote the first book, I knew exactly what her life story was. So I was telling a story that was already conceived in my mind, and but the crimes she is investigating, they were sort of developed as the series developed. But for me, I mean, this is, even more. It's just the trilogy is like one big package, and also now that you will have the third book available in German, I hope some readers, who have not read the first 2 books, might want to give it a try to read it actually backwards and start with the mist and end with the darkness. I think I know some people who have done that, and I mean that's possible to read them either way. But I've never tried reading them backwards because I know them too well.
But that is a really, really, really great idea. So the Dark Iceland books are very successful as well, and they were five. So now you said Hulda just get three books. I guess there are some people saying, no, make two more. It's such a success. What do you think about that idea?
So it was always supposed to be a trilogy, but I have cheated a little bit because last year in Iceland, I published a book called Hvíti Dauði, which means white death. And and in that book, I introduce a new policeman called Helgi. And so in the first book, in Dunkel, in the first Hulda book, she is asked to retire early from the police because there's a young man who needs her office, a young sort of upcoming star. And she gets really angry and the readers get angry. And we feel, you know, it's unfair, which it is, to push out this successful woman because a young man needs her office. So when I'd written all these three books, I thought, what about writing a book about this young man who takes her office in the first book and get to know him? So that's what the new book is about. It's about this young man and a case he's dealing with, and we find out that he's actually quite a nice guy. And but that gave me the opportunity to write about the exact same period of time as Dunkel takes place in. So we meet Hulda again. But in that book, she is like a secondary character. She's not the lead character, but she is in there a little bit, and we see another viewpoint on her life. So I think that will probably be the start of a new series about this man. And maybe Hulda will, you know, we'll see a little bit more of her in flashbacks and stuff like that.
What does it feel like for you? I guess you love Hulda in a way because she's your character and you've gone a long way together. Now to push her in the second row, was that easy or was it a bit hard?
It was easy. Yeah, it was easy because, you know, for me it was just a joy to be able to use, you know, work with her, you know, with her again. Because I thought when I'd written The Mist, that was the last. And as you say, of course, I like my own character, and Hulda is especially, she's important to me because I spent a lot of time sort of developing her, the concept and her life. So I was just happy to be able to, you know, give her a little bit more life. And I hope to be able to do that again. And I actually, this summer, I cheated again and I wrote a short story with Hulda in it. So it's hard to let go.
Sounds like. In Germany, we are the lucky ones. All three parts, The Darkness, The Island and The Mist, were released in May, July and now September. And other countries were not that lucky. They have to wait more than a year, for example, for all the three parts. What do you think? What is the best way? Every year one or three at once?
I think the way my German publisher is doing this is absolutely fantastic. And I just don't think anyone, you know, had this idea before. Every other, you know, of course in Iceland it was published one each year because I was just writing them as it went along. But for Germany they were all ready. And after this experience, I've gone to my publishers in other countries and told them, this is what the Germans were doing. And I think some of them actually are thinking, I mean, this was a great idea. Why didn't we do it? Because it's been, it's turned out to be a really good way of telling the story. And I really like it. I mean, and I think it's a story that should be read in a short space of time. Optimally, hopefully one day someone will publish this, or even in Germany, as like just one set, and you can, get the whole story in one. I think that's really the way it should be enjoyed as a story.
And it hit the charts. So you kicked like yourself away from #1, and you were with both books at #1. I'm pretty sure The Mist will do as well, be #1. Is there a bit pressure now for you while creating new stuff that you think about yourself, oh, I need to, or are you just free as an artist?
I've never put any pressure on myself. The only pressure I do put it is that, you know, I want to create a new book each year, because that's the way the Icelandic book market is. Because we have this thing called the Christmas book flood, which I will say in Icelandic is jólabókaflóð. And that's an old tradition here, which basically means that all new books published in Iceland are published before Christmas. And they're all published in nice hardback editions. And the reason is that people want to give books for Christmas, for presents, and then, you know, you get your book. And the tradition is also that on Christmas Eve, when people have opened their presents and had their Christmas dinner, I think, you know, pretty much everyone in Iceland sits down by the fire or by the candlelight or whatever, and, you know, opens up a new book. And which is, you know, and this has kept the book market going in Iceland. This has kept the writers going for years and decades, this fact. And so for me, I mean, I love this, it's a really nice atmosphere for writers in, you know, in November, December. Everyone is talking about books, buying books, and then, you know, you get Christmas and people, you know, give books, and it's a beautiful tradition. And that's the only pressure I put on myself, is I want to be a part of that every year, and that's what I've done. But it's always, you know, whether the books are doing well in Germany or France or wherever, or I mean, that's fantastic, but it's still, you know, I'm still writing just what I want to write. I would never change that. It's always, and I have some ideas already for the next books, so I think I'll stick to that.
I believe that. So when Christmas is over on Iceland, how many days must pass until you know it was a success?
Oh, that's a good question. You usually know it before in terms of sales, because, you know, you have these bestseller lists, of course, and there's a lot of reviews and talk about books, and so you basically know if people like your book or not well before Christmas.
So it could also ruin your Christmas.
Yeah, of course, if you would let it. But I think you have to, like, enjoy it no matter what. I mean, that's just to be a part of this is a privilege. I mean, I was raised in a family that, you know, we had read a lot of books. There was a book publisher in my family, and, you know, it was always all around this atmosphere of, you know, books and Christmas goes hand in hand. So I'm, you know, to have a book, to be a part of that as a writer, but not just as a reader, is fantastic. But I also buy a lot of books for Christmas myself and give everyone books and read new books. And I you know, that's the best thing about it.
And you were a big fan of Agatha Christie. You translated a lot of them into your mother tongue. And how do you feel or react when someone is comparing Agatha Christie with you?
That makes me feel really proud, to be honest, because, I mean, I have to say she is still my favorite author, and I still read her books. Even though I've read them all, I still reread them, and you know, when they are when they make TV series or movies out of them, I see everything that's done, and it's to sort of follow everything that happens with her work. And you know, I'm just a big fan of Agatha Christie, and she created this world, this cozy atmosphere that you really just wanna get lost in. I mean, if you have a difficult day and you come back home and you open up an old Agatha Christie book, you're in good hands, and you know, and she really did create some fantastic, excellent plots and twists. And some people say she basically used all the good ideas for crime novels. I hope not. But, you know, you tend to feel she was way ahead of her time. And so, I mean, if someone compares what I do with her, I mean, I am really honored. But of course, I know that I am also doing something different. I mean, I am, of course, writing from the Nordic tradition as well. But I think I can say my ambition is always to combine these two. I mean, these old-fashioned mysteries and puzzles that I loved reading when I was getting to know Agatha Christie, but also the modern, you know, use my own country, my own setting, and this Nordic tradition, where everything is a little bit darker and colder, like we have like a windy day outside here in Iceland now. I mean, it's a tough country, but a nice one.
Has there been a moment while you were writing your book when you were thinking, oh, damn, Agatha Christie already got that idea?
Not really. But I think that's because I know her books quite well, and so I would probably know that before. So, but sometimes I have ideas, and I think that might have been good for an Agatha Christie book as well.
You were translated for 21 countries. For me, it's kind of unbelievable. I know you grew into it, but how does it feel today when you make yourself a map of the world, seeing countries, they know me, they read my books? How is that? How does that feel?
It's incredible, and it's really hard to understand. It sort of becomes real because I'm running out of place in my house to put the books that I'm being sent from all over the world, and that's a very nice problem to have. I get books sent every week from Germany or France or UK or wherever. The last one was from the Czech Republic, I think, and in all these languages that I can obviously not read, and so I put them in my shelves, and my shelves are full, so I have to rent like a storage space for the books. But that's that makes it real. But each time I get a new book from wherever it is, it's like a lovely moment. And you have the book and you read it. You either read it or you just look at it, and sometimes I try to guess which of my books it is because I sometimes really can't notice. You have to look at it. But of course, I mean, it's just a privilege that people are reading the books in different languages. I mean, it's certainly not something I would have expected 10 years ago when I was starting.
Now, usually I would think you're such a successful author, read all over the world, that you, of course, just doing that for living. And I'm totally wrong, right?
Yeah, I also work for a living, which I've always done because I've worked in like banking my whole life, ever since I graduated from law school in Iceland. And so I still do that. I work in investment banking here in Iceland, and of course, the books take up more and more time, and I have to get more and more time off to work on those. But at least for the moment, I'm enjoying to have like these two worlds, and it's so totally different. And you meet a lot of people during the day, and then you sit by your computer in the evening. And for the at least for the moment, it's working well for me. And I think if I would have nothing to do except writing for the whole day, I would probably still write about just as much, but I would just sit and look at the computer for hours more. So it's all about a little organization a little bit, but I who knows how long I will do this. It's always more and more pressure because I need to travel a lot.
You did also teaching, right? You have been a teacher.
Yeah. Every year I teach. That's another hobby I have. I teach in the university in Reykjavik, and I teach copyright law.
This is a hobby?
Yeah, it's sort of a hobby because copyright law is like a hobby to me. Because, as I say, I'm a trained lawyer, and then I write books. So it's sort of, I've never actually worked. I've always worked in banking, so I've never really worked on copyright law, but it's something I just, read up about and teach. And that's great fun as well. And it's also, I think it's important as a lawyer to be in touch with the academic side and, be a part of the university, the university society, basically. And I enjoy it, meeting new students every year.
So besides writing, besides working, besides your hobby, you're also a husband and a father of 2 daughters. How many free time you got on a proper day? Just for yourself?
Not a lot. Not a lot.
You need a lot?
No, it's I take a little bit of time for running every morning, and then it's just about organization. It's about spending the day at work and then with the family, and then I would usually write in the evenings, and answer emails from my publishers and agents and whatever. It's but it's always, as I say, it's a privilege. It's a luxury problem to have, and so I try to enjoy it.
It's maybe one of the best problems you could ever get.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So all of your family is cool with that you're a well-known author all over the world? Or is it a bit like, oh, come on, Dad, you're not that important to us? In a funny way, not in a hardy way.
Absolutely. I mean, they really keep me grounded. So they enjoy it, of course. And I get a chance to bring them with me on trips as well sometimes. So they're sort of very much a part of this experience, this adventure.
So which of the Hulda books was the most difficult for you to write, and why?
Oh, that's a very good question. Probably the first one, because that was all about the big story, and when I wrote books 2 and 3, the whole story was really already prepared in my mind, her life story. And for books 2 and 3 also, they took Hulda to 2 really exciting places. So that was just more about, working the setting into the stories. But the first one was, that was the whole structure, and that had to be done right so the series would work. So that was the only time I almost didn't have a book out for Christmas in Iceland for the first book. I said to my publisher, maybe I'll need an extra year to finish that book. And he very, kindly said, no, let's try and do it this year. And so I basically spent an extra summer on that book to get it finished. Usually I would not write in the summer because we have the loveliest summers in Iceland. We have the 24-hour daylight, and you just want to stay outside the whole day. But so for that reason, I sort of that was the first time I have spent a whole summer writing a book, and that was ready for Christmas, and then I was really happy with it in the end.
And I guess your agent was happy as well. And all over Germany, we are happy that your third installment for Hulda, The Mist, is out now. And all you guys out there, if you love art, please buy it so it can stay on this planet. Ragnar, thank you very much for your time at the Web Talk Show.
Thank you.
You now have an unbelievable opportunity. You can say in your camera what you have never said in a camera on this world before, but always wanted to say. I'm very curious what this will be. To all you out there, the world is a beautiful place. Please take care that it stays that way. See you soon at the Web Talk Show.
So what I want to say to you is keep reading and keep writing. Whatever you enjoy in terms of culture, keep doing it, because for me, culture is the most important thing we have to share.